Frederick Valentich, 1978 disappearance. The air was calm that evening, and yet I felt uneasy. The sun had just slipped beyond the horizon, leaving behind streaks of gold fading into indigo. Below me, the Bass Straits stretched out endlessly black water. Featureless, only the occasional shimmer from the waves catching the last light of day. I adjusted my headset. The familiar hum of the Cessna's engine filled the cockpit, steady and comforting. My altimeter read 4,500 feet. Airspeed was holding. Fuel was more than enough for the trip to King Island. Everything about this flight was ordinary, but something inside me wasn't. I shifted in my seat, restless. Maybe it was the isolation, just me, the machine, and the void of night settling in around me. A 20-year-old pilot alone in the sky. It was exhilarating and terrifying. Then I noticed it. A light. At first I thought it was a reflection, maybe the last gleam of sunlight bouncing off my windshield. But no, it was moving. It was small at first, distant, hovering just above the water. But then it climbed fast. Faster than anything I'd ever seen. It rose up to my altitude, then dipped below, then surged forward again. That's when I keyed the mic. Melbourne, this is Delta Sierra Juliet. I seem to have an aircraft following me at about 4,500. My voice cracked slightly, but I tried to sound calm. Ding. The reply came, faint under static. Delta Sierra Juliet, confirm. What type of aircraft? I swallowed. I didn't know. I can't confirm. It's long, metallic, with a sort of green light. The object flickered as I spoke, darting to my left, then to my right. My hands tightened on the yoke. It's flying over me right now, I added, my voice sharper. The silence stretched before ATC finally came back. Delta Sierra Juliet, understood. Keep us advised. The light was too fast, too agile. No aircraft I knew could move like that. It played with me, yearing in front of me, then vanishing, then circling back again. Melbourne, it's not an aircraft. Even as I said it, my stomach dropped. I didn't know what else it could be. My mind raced. Could it be military? A secret craft? Some kind of illusion? I blinked hard, rubbed my eyes, but when I opened them again, it was still there. The green glow pulsed against the night sky. I tried again. Melbourne, it seems to be playing with me. It's just orbiting me right now. The engine rattled under strain as I banked left, trying to shake it. It stayed with me, perfectly. It's not an aircraft, I repeated, my voice trembling now. The headset crackled with static. Then I heard my own breathing, loud, shaky, filling the cockpit, and then the sound began, not in my headset, not outside the plane, inside. A metallic scraping, a low, grinding vibration that reverberated through the control yoke and into my hands. It felt like something was touching the plane, like claws dragging across the fuselage. Melbourne, my engine is rough idling. But even as I said it, I wasn't sure that was true. The engine was fine. It was the air that seemed wrong, heavy, distorted. The light shifted again, above me now. My neck strained as I tilted back to see it. It wasn't small anymore. It filled the sky above, blotting out the stars. A shape began to emerge, fast, unnatural, not wings, not rotors, something else. It's hovering above me, I whispered into the mic. What is this thing? The reply from Melbourne never came. The cockpit lights flickered. My instruments wavered altitude, dancing erratically, the compass spinning. Panic gripped me. Training told me to focus, to steady the controls. But my instincts screamed at me to run, and then weightlessness. My stomach lurched as if the plane had been caught, lifted. Controls were loose in my hands. Scraping grew louder, metallic, violent. A tearing sound. Oh, tearing sound, I shouted into the mic, voice breaking. It's not an aircraft. It's the sound swallowed my words. A harsh, metallic distortion, like bending steel, like a saw tearing through the very air itself. I gritted my teeth, fighting to stay conscious. The green light grew brighter, filling the cockpit, burning into my eyes, and then silence. The hum of the engine was gone. The static was gone. Even the grinding noise had stopped. Only the glow remained, suffocating, impossible glow, wrapping itself around me, swallowing the plane whole. I opened my mouth to call out one last time, but the radio was dead. The world tilted. My body was pulled upward, out of my seat into the light, and then nothing. Amelia Earhart, 1937 disappearance. I had been in the air for nearly 20 hours. My co-pilot, Fred Noonan, was hunched over his maps, his pencil scratching quietly. The only sound besides the steady hum of the Lockheed Electra's twin engines. We were nearing the end of our journey around the world. One final push across the Pacific lay New Guinea to a tiny speck in the water called Flannan Island, 2,500 miles of nothing but sea. I adjusted the throttle, my hands stiff, tired. Sweat clung to my forehead despite the high altitude. My eyes burned from staring at the endless horizon. Clouds smeared across the sky, thin and deceptive, and the ocean below looked like polished steel. I wanted to believe we were close. At any minute, Howland would appear. A strip of land, beacon, salvation. But all I saw was blue. I pressed the transmitter switch. My voice cracked through the static. This is Amelia Earhart. Position uncertain, approximately 200 miles out. The radio hissed. Silence. Then faint words I could barely hear. The Itasca, the Coast Guard ship stationed near Howland, was trying to reach us. But their signal was garbled, their words tangled in the sea of static. I looked at Fred. His jaw was tight, his eyes darting between compass and map. He didn't say it aloud, but I knew. We weren't where we thought we were. The minutes dragged. Clouds thickened, patches of mist rolling across the horizon. My stomach twisted. Every degree of error could mean miles off course. Out here, a single mistake was the difference between life and nothingness. I tried again, louder this time. This is Amelia Earhart, calling Itasca. We are low on fuel. We're circling, but cannot see you. Repeat, cannot see you. The reply was broken, distorted. A voice trying to cut through the void. But it might as well have been ghosts whispering. Nothing clear. Nothing useful. The gauges trembled, fuel dropping lower. Fred leaned toward me, his voice rough. If we miss Howland, there's nowhere else. I nodded. I already knew. The nearest land beyond that tiny island was hundreds of miles away, empty ocean in every direction. And then something strange. Through the haze, I thought I saw a shadow, a shape on the horizon. At first, I thought it was Howland. Relief surged through me until I blinked, and it wasn't there anymore. Just rolling cloud banks and the shimmer of water. My heart pounded. Fatigue, or was my mind playing tricks? I steadied my voice, pressing the transmitter again. We are on the line 157337, running north and south. Searching the engines roared louder in my ears. But the silence outside was deafening. The ocean below seemed closer now, darker. The waves caught the light and threw it back like cold fire. I tightened my grip on the yoke. Time bled away. 5 minutes. 10. The fuel needle kept sinking. Thought I heard Fred curse under his breath, his hand shaking slightly as he folded his maps. He knew what I knew. We were out of time. I pressed the transmitter one last time. My voice was trembling now, stripped of its calm veneer. This is Amelia Earhart. We cannot see you. Gas is running low. The words hung in the air. The radio hissed back at me. Nothing else. And then light. Not from the horizon, not from the sky. Below us, a shimmer in the ocean waves. Too bright, too deliberate. Like something beneath the surface was glowing, pulsing in rhythm. Fred saw it too. His eyes widened, his mouth opening to speak. But before he could, the aircraft jolted, hard, as if something unseen had pulled at it. The Electra shuddered, metal groaning, the nose dipping sharply. I fought the controls, heart hammering, but the plane was being dragged down. The engines coughed, sputtered. The glow grew stronger, wrapping around the fuselage, flooding the cockpit in blinding white. Fred shouted something I couldn't hear. The roar swallowed everything, and then silence. Ocean rushed up to meet us. My last thought as the world turned into light and water was that maybe, just maybe, we were never meant to be found. The Sodder Children 1945 disappearance. It was Christmas Eve, and I remember the sound of laughter. The house was warm, filled with the scent of pine needles, wood smoke, and sugar. My brothers and sisters were scattered everywhere playing games, whispering secrets, drifting in and out of sleep. I was tired, but I didn't want the night to end. None of us did. Christmas meant lights on the tree, stockings on the mantle, and for just a moment, the world felt safe. But it wasn't safe. Not really. Sometime after midnight, I stirred awake. The sound reached me first, a faint crackle, almost like paper tearing. Then came the heat. I sat up in bed, blinking in the dark. Shadows flickered on the wall, orange and alive. My chest tightened as I realized what it was. Fire. Someone was shouting. Mother's voice. Father's voice. Panic in the hall. I scrambled to my feet, calling for my brothers, for my sisters. But the smoke was already thick, curling into the room, stinging my eyes. The floorboards burned against my bare feet as I ran to the door. But the hallway was blocked. Flames licked up the walls, roaring hungrily, cutting off the staircase. Coughed, covering my mouth, heart pounding. My brothers gathered behind me, their faces pale with fear. "We have to get out," one of them cried. I pulled them back, thinking, searching. The window. It was the only way. I shoved it open, icy air rushing in, mixing with smoke. But when I leaned out, my stomach dropped. We were too high. The ground below was black, unreachable. And then something strange. Through the smoke and haze, I saw figures. At first I thought they were neighbors, rushing to help. Shapes in the yard, silent, waiting, but they didn't move toward the house. They only stood there, watching. One of them lifted an arm and pointed straight at me. My blood ran cold. Behind me, the fire surged. Wood cracked, the roof groaned. I turned back to the window, ready to jump anyway, when I felt at hands. Not from my brothers, not from anyone I could see. Cold hands, gripping my arms, pulling me backward into the smoke. I tried to scream, but the air was gone from my lungs. The roar of fire faded into silence. And then, nothing. No flames, no smoke. Just darkness. I blinked, but I wasn't in the house anymore. I was lying on a cold floor, the faint hum of something mechanical around me. My brothers and sisters were there too, their faces pale, eyes wide with confusion. Wherever we were, it wasn't our home. Far above us, I thought I heard voices, not English. Not anything I'd ever heard. Low, vibrating sounds that seemed to seep into my bones. I wanted to call for my parents. I wanted to run. The cold hand still held me tight. And in that moment, I knew we hadn't been taken by fire. We had been taken by something else. Something that wanted us. Gone. The Flannan Isles lighthouse keeper's 1900 disappearance. The sea was restless that night. And so was I. The Flannan Isles are nothing but rocks in the middle of nowhere. Jagged stone, endless waves, and the wind that never stops. Out here, time feels different. Days blur into nights, and nights blur into the steady rhythm of the sea. There were 3 of us. James Ducat, the head keeper, Donald MacArthur, the relief, and me. Our job was simple. Keep the lamp burning. Ships depended on it. Their lives, their cargo, their families. Waiting at home, all of it depended on us. But sometimes, when the wind screamed across the rocks and the waves thundered against the cliffs, I wondered who was watching us. The night began quietly. The lamp was trimmed and glowing, casting its beam across the black water. Dinner was waiting on the table, though I wasn't hungry. Something about the air felt
wrong.
Heavy Ducat noticed too. He kept pacing the narrow corridor, muttering to himself, checking the windows as if expecting someone outside. MacArthur tried to laugh it off, but even his voice shook. And then we heard it, a sound low and deep, rolling beneath the crash of the waves. Not thunder, not wind, something else. We froze. The sound came again closer this time, like a horn but not from any ship. Too vast, too ancient. It vibrated in the walls, in my chest, in my teeth. I looked at Ducat. His face was pale. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. He nodded. MacArthur went to the door, pulling it open against the wind. The night air slammed into a sice, violent. But beyond the spray and the dark, we saw it. A light on the water, not the steady glow of a ship's lantern, but a sphere floating just above the waves. Bright, pulsing, almost alive. It moved slowly, deliberately, circling the island. None of us spoke. None of us breathed. The light grew brighter, closer, until it washed over the rocks, painting the cliffs in ghostly white. And then it rose. Higher and higher, until it hovered above the lighthouse itself. The air trembled. The horn-like sound grew louder, almost unbearable. Inside the tower, the lamp flickered, then went out. The flame snuffed itself, as if smothered by something unseen. Ducat shouted, running up the spiral stairs to relight it. MacArthur followed. I hesitated, my legs heavy with dread, before forcing myself to move. When I reached the top, the room was bathed in white light. Ducat and MacArthur were frozen, staring upward, their faces twisted in awe and terror. I turned, slowly, heart hammering, and saw it through the glass. Not a ship, not a storm, something vast. Silent, hovering above the tower, blotting out the stars. The sound shook the walls, my ears rang, my body trembled. And then, the glass shattered. The light poured in, blinding, searing, swallowing everything. I felt myself lifted, pulled upward, weightless. Ducat and MacArthur too, their mouths open in silent screams. The lighthouse fell away beneath us. The sea vanished. The world itself dissolved into pure white. And then, silence. But light remained. And then even that was gone. D.B. Cooper, 1971 disappearance. They never even suspected me, not at first. The cabin smelled of coffee and cigarette smoke. Passengers chatted softly. Flight attendants moved down the aisle with practiced smiles. Just another flight from Portland to Seattle. I sat near the back seat, 18C, dark suit, black tie, sunglasses. To them, I was just another businessman. The briefcase at my feet was ordinary, leather scuffed, nothing special. But inside was what I wanted them to believe was a bomb. I slipped a note to the stewardess, calm, polite. She read it, her face paling as she looked at me. I nodded once, lifted the case just enough for her to glimpse wires and red sticks inside. Her breath caught, she obeyed. Soon, I had their attention. My demands were simple. $200,000 for parachutes. A fuel truck ready in Seattle. No heroics. No tricks. The plane descended, smooth and steady. Through the small oval window, I saw the lights of Seattle glittering in the night. When we landed, the exchange was quiet, controlled. The money came in. Stacks of bills, packed neatly in a canvas bag. The parachutes followed. The passengers were released, filing off with wide eyes and hurried steps. Now it was just me, the crew, and the night sky. I told them to fly south, low altitude, toads down. Slow speed? Toward Mexico. The engines roared as we lifted again, leaving Seattle behind. I sat alone, the canvas bag beside me, the weight of it reassuring. The money wasn't the goal. Not really. It was the escape. The freedom. The moment when the world would lose me forever. Hours passed. The crew stayed silent, their eyes flicking nervously toward me. I finished my bourbon and lit another cigarette, the smoke curling lazily toward the ceiling. And then it was time. I slipped the parachute straps over my shoulders, tightening them across my chest. My fingers were steady, my heart calm. This was the plan all along. I dragged the heavy bag of cash to the rear door. The roar of the engines louder now, wind pressing against the fuselage. The stewardess looked at me one last time. Her eyes begged me not to do it, but I smiled. Just a small, polite smile. "Thank you, miss," I said. "Now go forward." She obeyed. I pulled the lever. The door opened with a violent rush, wind screaming into the cabin. The night sky yawned before me, vast, black, endless. Below, only forests, rivers, and darkness. I stood at the edge, the bag clutched tight, the parachute tugging at my shoulders. For a moment, I hesitated. And then I jumped. The air tore past me, freezing, roaring, ripping at my clothes. The canvas bag slammed against my side, the straps biting into my arms. My body spun, the world a blur of shadows and stars. I yanked the cord. The chute burst open above me, jerking me hard. My breath caught in my throat. The descent slowed. The roar of wind softened. Now there was only silence. Suspended between earth and sky, I drifted through the darkness. The forest stretched below like an endless black sea. No lights, no roads. No sign of the world I had left behind. Somewhere above, The plane disappeared into the night, carrying my name with it. But down here, there was no one. The wind carried me lower, branches reaching up like hands. The ground rushed toward me, cold and unseen. And then impact, pain, darkness, the bag slipping from my grasp.
Ouch.
The forest swallowing me whole. And just like that, I was gone.
Ouch.
The Mary Celeste, 1872 disappearance. The sea is vast,
Ouch.
and she remembers everything. December winds clawed at the rigging, rattling the sails. The Mary Celeste creaked and groaned, her wooden bones flexing against the restless Atlantic. We were en route from New York to Genoa, carrying barrels of alcohol. The voyage had been uneventful. Until now, something had changed. The crew whispered when they thought I wasn't listening. My wife Sarah tried to reassure me, but I saw the worry in her eyes. Even our little Sophia, barely 2 years old, seemed restless, her cries sharper, as if she sensed something none of us could see. For days the air had felt strange, heavy, oppressive, like a storm pressing down on us, though the skies were clear. The compass spun erratically, the wind shifted without warning, and some nights, the ocean glowed faintly beneath us, pale, unnatural light dancing in the swells. I told myself it was only exhaustion, sailors' tales, tricks of the sea. But deep down, I knew better. On the morning of December 4th, I stood at the rail, staring into the horizon. No land, no sails, nothing but water, stretching forever. And yet, I felt watched. The mate approached, his face pale. "Captain," he whispered, "there's something wrong in the hold. The barrels." He went below. The smell hit first. Acrid, foul. Some of the alcohol casks had leaked, their staves swollen with seawater. But that wasn't what chilled me, it was the silence. No drip of liquid, no creak of the ship. Down there. It was as though the world itself was holding its breath. And then, the sound. Low, resonant. Like a hum rising from the wood itself. The barrels vibrated against the floorboards, pulsing as if alive. I staggered back, heart racing. My mate's eyes widened. "Captain, what is that?" I had no answer. That night, the wind died completely.
The Mary Celeste drifted on a flat, glassy sea, her sails hanging limp.
The crew gathered on deck, whispering nervously, their faces pale in the moonlight, and then we saw it. A glow, rising from the ocean itself. At first faint, like phosphorescence, but it grew, spreading beneath the hull, bathing the ship in sickly white. The men shouted. Some dropped to their knees, crossing themselves. My wife clutched Sophia tightly, her eyes wide with terror. I tried to stay calm, tried to speak. But the glow grew brighter, wrapping itself around the ship, seeping into the wood, into the sails, into us. The air vibrated, filled with that same low hum. My teeth ached. My bones shook. And then the Mary Celeste shuddered. Not from wind, not from wave, from something else, something pulling. I shouted orders, but no one moved. They only stared upward, and I followed their gaze. Above us, the sky had changed. The stars bent, distorted, twisting in spirals. Black void opened where the heavens should be ringed with light. And from it, silence. A silence so deep it drowned the world. The glow surged. The hum roared. And then, weightlessness. The deck fell away beneath my feet. Sarah screamed. Sophia cried. The crew clutched at rigging that no longer held them. We were lifted, all of us, into the light. The last thing I saw was the Mary Celeste, empty, adrift, her sails limp, waiting to be found. But we would never be found. Michael Rockefeller, 1961 disappearance. The river was wide. It carried secrets in its current. The outboard motor coughed once, sputtered, then died. The canoe rocked beneath me, bobbing helplessly in the swollen waters of the Betsy River. The jungle pressed in on both sides, green, thick, endless. I was far from home, far from New York, far from the safety of family money and skyscrapers. Here I was just another man on the river, a fragile body against the weight of the wilderness. We had come to study, to collect art and artifacts of the Asmat people, to preserve a way of life that the world beyond could not understand. I thought I was prepared. I thought I was ready. But the jungle has ways of teaching humility. The current tugged at the canoe, spinning it slowly. My companion shouted, bailing water with frantic hands. The canoe leaned, then lurched, then flipped. Cold water swallowed me whole. I fought to the surface, gasping. The river surged into my nose, my mouth. I clawed at the overturned hull, but the current dragged me away. My arms burned with the effort. The others clung to what they could. I heard their shouts, faint over the roar of the river. My mind screamed, I can swim. I can make it. I have to make it. And so I swam, stroke after stroke, the shoreline in sight, though it never seemed closer. The sun blistered above me. Hours passed. My muscles screamed. My chest heaved, each breath ragged. That's when I felt it, the eyes. I turned, spitting water, blinking against the glare. Shapes moved along the bank. Men, silent, watching, their skin painted, spears in hand. The asthmat, I tried to shout. My voice cracked, lost in the river's roar. My arms faltered. Could not hold myself up much longer. The men did not move, they only watched. And as the current dragged me toward them, I realized they were waiting for me. The water closed over my head one last time. Hands grabbed my arms, rough and unyielding. The world spun, and then darkness. When I woke, I was no longer in the river. I was on the shore, surrounded by firelight, shadows dancing across painted faces. Their eyes did not blink, and I knew. My journey had ended here. Jim Sullivan, 1975 Disappearance. The desert was endless, and I was driving straight into it. My car hummed along the lonely highway. Nothing ahead but miles of black asphalt and stars. I had left Los Angeles hours ago, chasing something I couldn't name. Maybe freedom, maybe clarity, maybe just distance from the noise. The desert air pressed hot through the open window. My guitar case rattled in the back seat, a reminder of songs half written, dreams half fulfilled. Oh, should have felt free. Instead, I felt watched. The radio whispered static. Every so often, a note. High, sharp, like a string plucked somewhere far away. The sound raised the hair on my arms. I pulled over at last. The silence was suffocating, heavier than the air itself. That's when I heard it. A hum, low at first, almost imagined. Then louder, stronger. It vibrated in my bones, in my teeth. I looked up. Stars shifted. One broke away from the rest, descending, slow and deliberate. A pale glow spread across the sand, bleaching the desert silver. My heart pounded. My breath caught. The light swallowed me, wrapped me in warmth and terror. I staggered back toward the car, but my legs wouldn't obey. My body trembled, frozen in place. My ears filled with music. Not mine, not human. Something bending and twisting in ways I couldn't understand. It grew louder, louder, until it drowned every thought I had. And then, silence. The desert was empty. My car remained by the roadside. My guitar case sat in the back seat. But I was gone. Gone, as though I had been plucked from the earth like a note from a song. Etta Canning, 1920s hiking disappearance. The mountains were beautiful. But beauty can be cruel. I loved the wilderness, the stillness, the escape. The mountain trails had always felt like home to me, a place where the noise of the world fell away. But that day something was wrong. The trail seemed unfamiliar. The pines pressed closer. The air felt too still, heavy as though it were watching me. I paused, adjusting my pack, sipping from my canteen. That's when I realized. Silence. No birds. No insects. Nothing. The kind of silence that meant something was near. I hurried on, but the trail twisted strangely, leading me deeper instead of up. My stomach churned. I should have known this path. I had walked it many times, but every step carried me somewhere unfamiliar. The trees grew taller, shadows darker. My compass spun, refusing to point north. And then the figure, tall, thin, standing between the trees.
Oh, damn.
No face that I could see, only darkness where features should be. My throat tightened. I called out, but my voice wavered. Hello? Can you help me? No reply. The figure raised one arm, slowly, pointing deeper into the forest. I should have turned back. I should have run. But my legs moved without my will, heavy, unwilling, carrying me where it pointed. The air grew colder. My breaths came out in clouds. The forest shifted around me, each tree the same, each step leading only deeper. I looked back once. The trail was gone. The world behind me had sealed itself. The figure waited ahead, silent, watching. And I walked toward it. I walked into the woods. I never came out again. It's Flight 1945 Disappearance. The sea stretched forever, and our compasses spun like mad. We were 5 planes, Avengers, cutting across the sky on a routine training mission. The sun glared off the Atlantic. The day had started like any other, until the instruments failed. My compass spun uselessly, unable to find north. I called out to the others. The same. All 5 of us adrift in the sky with no direction, no bearings. Something's wrong, one of the men said. His voice cracked over the radio. We can't find west, can't find anything. The ocean stretched below us, endless and identical. No land, no horizon. The sun seemed fixed in place. Hours passed. Fuel drained. Fear crept in, cold and certain. Static filled the radio, broken by fragments of voices. My heart pounded in my chest as I tried to lead them, but the ocean gave us nothing. Then, the glow. At first, faint beneath the waves, a shimmer, a heartbeat of light, then stronger, rising, spreading across the sea. The planes rocked as if caught in invisible hands. My controls locked, frozen. Mayday, mayday. I shouted, but the radio screamed only static. The glow expanded, reaching up, pulling at us. Engines sputtered, choked, died. The roar of propellers faded into silence, and then, falling, but not down, not into the sea. Upward, the sky folded, the horizon bent. My stomach lurched as the world turned inside out, and then nothing. The ocean remained. The sky remained, but we were gone. 5 planes, 14 men, swallowed whole by the light.